Imagine this. You're stuck. Really stuck. It's September in London, dreary, and your Foreign Office job. Well, the narrator says it's neither interesting nor important.
Ouch.
Yeah, exactly. He feels like a martyr, totally convinced the world could just, dispense with him. It sounds pretty bleak.
Utterly. That kind of existential dread.
Right. But then picture that boredom just completely shattered by this really eccentric invitation, an invitation that leads not just to some escape, but to uncovering, well, a massive international conspiracy.
It's that classic escape fantasy, isn't it? But with this really serious, almost accidental twist. I mean, the way personal unhappiness sort of stumbles into high-stakes national security is fascinating.
Absolutely, that blurring of lines. And that's why today we're doing a deep dive into The Riddle of the Sands. It came out back in March 1903.
And it's interesting, it was presented almost like a historical document, wasn't it? It really blurred that fiction-nonfiction line, which made its warning feel incredibly plausible at the time.
It did. It's this detailed account that basically laid bare what a lot of people secretly feared about Britain's vulnerabilities back then.
So our mission for you listening is to really unpack the key bits from this story. We want to show you how these two guys, almost by chance, tripped over this huge plot.
And what it tells us about, well, the world over 100 years ago, the geopolitics.
Yeah, and you'll be surprised, I think, how relevant some of it feels. Espionage, naval strategy, national defense. It still resonates.
Okay, so let's get into it. Our narrator, Carruthers, a young clerk, he's at the extremity of depression, as the text says.
That phrase really sticks with you.
It does. He thinks the world can dispense with him. Total ennui. And then, boom, this letter arrives, out of the blue, from an old acquaintance, Arthur Davies.
Right, Davies.
Okay.
And Carruthers remembers him as, well, pretty ordinary, right? Modest, not wealthy.
Exactly. So the invitation is just yachting in the Baltic in late September.
Which is, let's be honest, kind of crazy weather-wise for that kind of trip in a small boat.
Totally. Carruthers immediately thinks freezing conditions, a squalid week. He's annoyed by how strange it all is. But, and this is key, he also feels this faint lightening of the spirits.
Causeless, the text says?
Yeah, causeless.
Huh.
Like, despite himself, some part of him is intrigued or maybe just desperate for anything different.
That's such a great psychological detail, that little spark. It shows how much he needed something, anything, to break the monotony, even if it sounded awful on paper.
It's the start of his transformation, really. And then there's this little postscript in the letter. It seems minor, but it jumps out.
The request.
Yes. Davies asks him to bring a prismatic compass and a pound of Raven mixture, tobacco. Now, the tobacco, okay, maybe normal. But the compass.
Yeah, a prismatic compass isn't just your standard bit of kit for a casual sail, is it? It's for really precise navigation, accurate bearings.
So it immediately signals something more serious than just bobbing around.
Exactly. It's a subtle clue dropped right in there that Davies' idea of yachting is maybe a bit different from what Carruthers expects.
Purposeful. So despite all his doubts, Carruthers accepts. He calls it obscure penance, which is interesting.
Like, he feels he deserves this discomfort somehow.
Maybe. And he changes instantly. From this peevish dandy who's obsessed with dressing for dinner, he actually skips it, which for him is described as an epoch in itself.
Huh. Shows how far he's fallen, or maybe how ready he is for something completely different.
So he travels to Flensburg, and the journey itself is already pulling him out of his comfort zone. He's buying rigging screws.
Reticle failure stuff.
Right. And reeking orange slabs for oilskins, heavy-duty waterproofs. It's a world away from his London life.
And then he arrives and actually sees Davies and the yacht, the Dulcibella,
Yeah.
and it's a shock.
Understatement, probably. What's it like?
It's small, a converted lifeboat, basically. No crew, just Davies. Carruthers is horrified. He talks about a sordid midnight scramble to get aboard, food that looks dodgy.
That flabby meat parcel.
Yes, showing ghastly signs of disintegration. I mean, the lack of comfort is visceral. He says they're doubled up like monkeys in the cabin.
Sounds grim. Absolutely grim. But here's the turn. Despite being irritated, uncomfortable.
Everything you predicted, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But his mood shifts.
Yeah.
That crown of martyrdom he felt he was wearing, it just vanishes. And instead, he has this sane resolve to enjoy himself.
Which is quite something, given the circumstances.
It is. He starts noticing the Dulcibella's strengths. It's sturdy, businesslike. He even notes the compass setup, the binnacle, is comically impressive, again hinting at serious navigation.
He's realizing his own ignorance, isn't he, in this strange and strenuous atmosphere.
Yes, he's out of his depth, literally and figuratively, and he knows it. This is where the real journey starts. He's forced to learn, to adapt.
That shift is so important, moving from being this sort of detached, complaining observer to someone who has to engage with the raw reality of the situation. It strips away the pretension.
So they start sailing, Flensburg Fjord.
Yeah.
And Carruthers is watching Davies. Davies is incredibly good at sailing, very efficient.
But not showy about it.
Not at all. No didactic pedantry. He just tosses a chart at Carruthers, the self-confessed ignoramus, and kind of expect him to cope. It shows this real independence Davies has.
And he ignores all the usual yacht club stuff, right? No special flag, no uniform.
Nope. No ensign, no yachting suit. He even runs them aground at one point. But just shrugs it off. Oh, she'll blow over.
That casual competence is really Davies' signature. It's practical, instinctive knowledge versus Carruthers' bookishness and the simple life aboard steak and newspaper.
Eno's fruit salt for baking powder.
Right. It just emphasizes how far removed this is from polite society. Very resourceful, very focused on the essential, maybe even discreet.
Good point. And navigating these waters, the shallows, the strong tides, it demands constant attention. It forces Carruthers into the moment.
Mm-hmm. And Davies mentions his earlier solo trip from the Frisian Islands, but he's cagey about it.
Yeah, he clams up pretty quick. Carruthers suspects foolhardy enterprise, maybe some perilous incidents, things Davies isn't sharing yet.
So there's definitely a backstory simmering there. Something happened on that previous trip, and it ties into the whole reason they're supposedly there now.
The duck shooting.
The duck shooting, which Davies says needs bad weather.
Which Carruthers, wanting sun and nice views, is not thrilled about. He hates the idea of the outlandish Frisian coast.
And when Carruthers voices that dislike, Davies gets sort of timid and interrogative. Like, he knows his plan isn't exactly appealing.
The cover story is already looking thin, isn't it?
Definitely feels like a pretext. And then things take a more serious turn when they visit Sonderburg.
Ah, yes. The Dibble Heights. Site of that big battle in the Danish-Prussian War, 1864.
A really significant moment in Prussia's rise, and Davies sees a memorial to the fallen Prussians, and he's deeply moved, eyes flashed and filled with tears.
It shows this isn't just abstract history for him. He feels it.
Yeah.
And it connects to this sense Carruthers picks up, that Davies feels another war is coming, a war driven by German ambition.
And this is where you see Davies isn't just some eccentric yachtsman, he's thinking geopolitically. His reading material confirms it, right?
Absolutely. Mahan on sea power, Brassey's Naval Annual.
Mm-hmm.
These are serious works on naval strategy and intelligence. He's obsessed with it.
So the simple sailor is actually a deep thinker on military matters. That's a crucial layer to him.
Okay, so the pieces are starting to gather. Then an old German sailing pal of Davies, Bartels, comes aboard.
And Bartels basically says, you're mad sailing these waters in this boat, reinforces the danger.
And he also mentions Davies needed rudder repairs recently. Another hint of past trouble.
It all builds the picture. Davies keeps coming back here, despite the risks. Why?
And Davies starts to tell Carruthers why. He talks about this German guy, Dollmann, who he met before.
For one who pumped him hard for information.
Exactly, asking all sorts of questions about the channels, the buoys, the charts for the Frisian coast. At the time, Davies thought it was just sportsman's jealousy, wanting the best duck spots.
But now he's rethinking that.
He is, because he remembers Dollmann slipping into perfect English at one point. And Dollmann's daughter, Clara, she looked English.
Ah, interesting.
So Davies forms this conviction. Dollmann is an Englishman, but he's working for the Germans. An Englishman in German service, living on Norderney, connected to this commander von Brüning on the German gunboat blitz.
Right, von Brüning. This is where Davies unveils his big idea, his channel theory, to Carruthers.
Lay it out for us. What's the core of it?
Well, Davies points out Germany is this rising power building its navy fast, but its North Sea coast is actually quite short, and its treacherous sandbanks, shallow channels everywhere.
Seems like a disadvantage.
You'd think. But Davies argues they can turn it into an advantage. This complex network of channels behind the Frisian Islands, this immense tidal harbor, is perfect, he says, for small, shallow draft vessels, torpedo boats, specialized landing craft.
If you have the local knowledge, the
Yeah,
pilot.
Exactly. Skilled pilotage is key. So the geographical weakness becomes a potential staging ground hidden in plain sight. It's a really insightful piece of strategic thinking about littoral warfare fighting close to shore. Still very relevant today.
So these tricky waters aren't a bug. They're a feature, potentially. A secret weapon.
Yeah.
And Carruthers starts building on this. He develops his own theory about Memert.
Right. That isolated sandbank. Supposedly just a salvage site for an old French wreck, the Corinne, looking for lost gold.
But Carruthers thinks, wait a minute, all this dredging, diving activity, it's the perfect cover
For what?
for building a secret naval base, especially for things like underwater defenses, mines, maybe torpedo tubes. And the fact that von Breuning has shares in the salvage company and supplies come from the naval port of Wilhelmshaven.
It starts to look less like salvage and more like something else. Very clever cover story, if true. Large-scale work, lots of people coming and going, underwater activity. Perfect disguise.
And Carruthers doesn't stop there. He digs into the local geography, the mainland villages. He notices all these names ending in seal.
Meaning sluice or drain?
Right. He realizes these are outlets for canals, inland waterways. He studies maps, picks up local gossip, and uncovers this network of Tees canals connecting inland towns like Easons to the coast. Barges use them.
And he connects this to Dolmen.
Yes, there are hints of increased business expansion linked to Dolmen and the islands. It suggests a logistical network is being developed.
Wow, okay, so potential hidden base, potential transport network, and then comes the real smoking gun.
The book. Tell us about the book.
Okay, so Clara Dolman, the daughter, is aboard the Dulcibella briefly, and she spots this old, very plain yachting guide in the cabin.
Unassuming little thing.
Totally. But Davies looks at it, sees the author is listed as Lieutenant X, RN, Royal Navy, and suddenly it clicks.
Who is Lieutenant X?
It's Dolman. He was a lieutenant in the Royal Navy. This proves it. He's the Englishman Davies suspected, who must have fled Britain under some cloud and is now working for Germany.
That's the clincher. No more guessing. They know who he is.
Absolutely. It changes everything. So, Carruthers, now fully committed, goes spying. He secretly watches a meeting at the Memmert Depot.
Who does he see?
He sees the whole crew, basically. Grimm, the diver, von Breuning, the naval commander, Booma, this engineer who's always with Dolman, and Dolman himself.
And he overhears things.
Just fragments, but crucial ones. Words like Chatham, the British naval base, Schleppboot, which means tugs, Wassertief, water depth, Eisenbahn railway, Lotsen pilots, Asens, that inland town.
Putting the pieces together.
It sounds like Dolman is feeding them info about a supposed English attack plan, which must be fake if he's working for them while the Germans are discussing their own plans, coded A to G.
Okay, this is getting seriously big. And then Carruthers sees something even more alarming.
The trial trip, yeah. He spies on a lighter, one of those flat-bottomed barges being towed by Grimm's tugboat.
And it's not just moving cargo.
No, he realizes he's watching a rehearsal, an experimental rehearsal of a great scene. He sees the potential for multitudes of seagoing lighters packed with soldiers pouring out of those 7 shallow outlets along the coast.
Crossing the North Sea.
To invade England. It's not just defense, it's a full-on invasion plan being practiced.
My goodness. And do they figure out where the target is?
They do. Based on Dolman's likely knowledge and the type of operation, they deduce the target is East Holland, that bit of the Lincolnshire coast, north side of the Wash.
Why there?
Because it's low-lying, lots of dikes, sand flats, similar geography, in a way, accessible via places like Boston Deeps. And crucially, they believe the British Navy lacks the detailed local knowledge of the tides and shallows there. Whereas German ships, potentially with shallower drafts and guided by expert pilots using this rehearsal knowledge,
could have a crucial advantage. It really emphasizes how vital that specific geographical intelligence is.
So the plan is clear. Von Breuning providing the naval command, Booma handling the logistics of canals and lighters, Grimm organizing the local pilots, labor, maybe some coastal security, and Dolman providing the intel.
It seems like a very well-structured operation. Each person has a clear role.
But then comes the biggest twist of all, the absolute core of the riddle.
Go on.
Davies finally confronts Dolman back at Norderney. He accuses him outright. You're a traitor in German service.
And Dolman?
Dolman explodes, but not in denial. He shouts back, I'm in British service. You're wrecking the work of years on the very threshold of success.
No. Seriously.
Seriously. Dolman is a double agent. He's been working for Britain all along, deep undercover, feeding intel back home.
Wow. Wow. What a reveal. So Davies and Carruthers have completely misread the situation.
They had the facts, but the interpretation was exactly wrong. Dolman wasn't the villain. He was the secret weapon against the plot.
So now they've blown his cover.
Well, precisely. His work is ruined, and he's in immense danger. So the only option is escape. Dolman, his daughter Clara, Davies, and Carruthers all pile onto the Dulcibella.
And make a run for it.
A desperate dash for Holland or England, under the cover of pouring rain. High drama across the North Sea.
Incredible. And the story doesn't quite end there, does it?
Yeah.
There's that postscript, dated March 1903.
Yes, the editor's note. It adds this layer of real-world validation. It confirms that while the book was being published, the British government actually did take action.
What kind of action?
They set up a committee of national defense. They chose a site for a new North Sea naval base, Rosyth on the Forth, and crucially, they established a dedicated North Sea fleet.
Directly addressing the kinds of vulnerabilities the book or the intelligence it represented highlighted.
Exactly. It powerfully suggests that the information uncovered by Davies and Carruthers, or perhaps by the real Dolman figure, had a direct impact on national policy. It shows the power of good intelligence.
What a journey. We've gone from one man's London misery
That extremity of depression.
all the way to uncovering this incredibly detailed, frankly terrifying invasion plan, only to find out the supposed villain was a hero. And seeing real-world consequences.
It really is extraordinary. It shows how sometimes just paying close attention, being curious, having courage, it can lead you to uncover things that affect huge national issues, even the economic fabric of a country, as the text puts it.
The way small clues, the letter, the compass, that old book, the place names all click together is amazing.
It's a great reminder, isn't it, about the power of observation, of connecting those dots that seem unrelated on the surface. Often the big secrets are hidden in those small, seemingly mundane details.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What other riddles of the sands might be out there right now, hidden in plain sight? What details are we all missing that might point to a much bigger picture?
That's definitely something to ponder. What are today's equivalents?
Indeed. Something for you all to mull over until our next deep dive.